Hey guys, Sean here with the Central Kentucky Weather page, and I just wanted to do a quick video blog to go over some of this severe weather that's trying to break out this afternoon across the area. So I just thought I'd give you a quick video here and do a visual kind of overview of what's going on as we head into the rest of the evening. Okay. So first of all, this is the Storm Prediction Center Day 1 outlook, just issued about 2 or 3 hours ago. And the slight risk zone, basically, if you were to make a line from, say, roughly the Ashland, Kentucky area down to Lexington, down to Bowling Green, from there to the southeast is in a slight risk of severe weather. And so Louisville, Cincinnati, down to western Kentucky in a marginal risk of severe weather. Storm Prediction Center obviously feels like this is the area, the state that could get hit the hardest as we head into the rest of the evening. And I would agree with that. If you look at the radar trends and the short-term model data, that is what it looks like. Here's the radar. Now this batch of storms began as a smaller cluster of thunderstorms across western Kentucky earlier today. And what happened was that as it moved eastward, it ran into some very good dynamics, and it kind of exploded into this larger cluster of thunderstorms. This is the radar out of Louisville, and these storms are getting sort of to the edge of the scope of the radar right now, so they don't look as impressive on here as they actually are. If you switched over to, say, radar out of Nashville, these storms are actually pretty healthy storms down in the middle Tennessee area. Lots of warnings down there. The Weather Service in Louisville has been issuing warnings in southern Kentucky, and now these storms are headed over into Jackson, Kentucky's area of responsibility. So the Jackson, Kentucky office is going to start taking over the warnings here very shortly, as these things are moving through Somerset as of the time of this video. Okay, so severe weather has been ongoing this afternoon, and the short-term data, which I'll show you in just a minute, suggests that will continue to be the case as we head into the evening hours. Now what's interesting to me for the bluegrass area of Kentucky is this secondary batch of weather that's starting to get going here across southern Indiana. We're going to have to keep an eye on this as we head into the rest of the evening, because this area of the state hasn't been worked over all that much today compared to the southern part of the state. So the dynamics, the instability, the dew point temperatures, and all of that are still more favorable up here for new development than what we would see down here. You know, the area down here is getting worked over really, really good by these thunderstorms that are moving through. So I think as we head into the evening hours, things will probably calm down in the Bowling Green and Somerset areas. But farther to the north along and north of the parkways and I-64, this area, again, just hasn't been worked over by storms a whole lot today. We did have a couple of small storms that came through the Frankfort area this morning, but the atmosphere has recovered pretty nicely, I think, across the northern half of Kentucky. So these storms probably will be able to maintain intensity, if not get stronger, and congeal into more of a line as they head to the east. So the bottom line is, here in central Kentucky, we're not out of the woods yet. Excuse me. And as we head into the evening hours, it's very possible that we could see more thunderstorm activity. It's been a really, really strange month, guys. Lots of rain, lots of thunderstorm activity. The last video blog, I mentioned that I think that we're going to head into a drier and hotter summer this year, and that has not panned out so far. Kind of funny, because right after I posted that, we went right back into a rainy, stormy pattern, and this is just really, really strange. This is the 4th year in a row that we've had above average rainfall during the summer here in Kentucky, and that's just really, really strange stuff. So going to be interesting to see how this pans out as we head toward August. You know, we've still got a lot of summer left to go, so be interesting to see how this pans out as we head toward August. Okay, here's the HRRR, and it's been kind of struggling as of late with this really strange, sloppy pattern that we've had in the eastern U.S., but just for kicks and giggles, here's the latest run of it, and you can see all that thunderstorm activity across southern Kentucky and middle Tennessee. And what it does with it is, as we head toward the evening hours, it weakens it out, pushes it up into eastern Kentucky as it's doing so, and then we kind of go dry. So as we head into the wee hours of the morning tomorrow morning, it really dries things up across Kentucky. Now, again, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, or a few seconds ago rather, this model's been kind of struggling as of late with this really sloppy pattern that we've got going on. So take that with a grain of salt, but I think that these thunderstorms are going to diminish in intensity as they head into eastern Kentucky. And then here's that line that I just mentioned that we can see starting to go on radar. This particular run of the model doesn't do a whole lot with that. So again, something we'll have to keep an eye on. But go to the run that was this is the 17Z run from about an hour ago. It didn't do a whole lot with it either. Kind of weakens that line out, the line that's in southern Indiana that we were just talking about. Kind of weakens it out as it pushes it into central Kentucky. A little surprised to see that. I think that we'll probably see that line hold together actually as it heads into the area. So, you know, just showing you what the models are indicating here. We'll have to keep an eye on it and see how it really pans out. Here's the 4-kilometer NAM, and it blows this stuff up in southern Indiana and is much more vigorous with it as it heads into northern Kentucky. So this is more along the lines of what I'm thinking we're going to see pan out. But the interesting thing you notice is that it doesn't show any of that convection that's already ongoing down here across southern Kentucky. So, you know, it's got the convection up here to the north, but not the south, and the HRRR was the opposite. So again, the models are just really having a tough time with this, but we'll have to keep an eye on these thunderstorms for the rest of the evening. So if you're going to be outside working tonight, or you have outdoor plans, you're going to have to keep it in mind that thunderstorms will probably be raging around the area off and on through the rest of the night, and then after the sun sets, things will probably calm down a little bit more. Okay. Now let's take a quick look at the GFS here for next week. I just wanted to show you what's going on here. Got some high pressure sliding in this weekend, so as we've been talking about, the front will probably stall somewhere along the Kentucky-Tennessee border. The question has been how far south that front goes, but the GFS has kind of flipped back the other direction now and shows that front pushing on through. So with high pressure sliding in, I think Saturday is going to be a pretty nice day. Don't see a whole lot in the way of thunderstorm activity on Saturday. So the weekend, you know, and then Sunday, not looking too terribly bad either. So the weekend is looking pretty good, and that's the good news right now. Drier forecast for the weekend, specifically Saturday and Sunday. But then what happens is we end up on the edge of this next weather system coming in. And so with this northwesterly flow kicking back in again, we set the stage for more mesoscale activity. So these squall lines, these bowing large clusters of storms that we call mesoscale convective systems, those things have been really raking us over the coals lately. The Ohio Valley has seen a large number of MCSs come through, lots of torrential rain from these things. And it looks like as we head into the early part of the week on Monday, we could get some more of that forming up to our northwest, and that could affect Kentucky. So Monday night going into Tuesday, looks like a time frame that we might have to keep an eye out for something like that. Could be some more severe weather in the Ohio Valley early next week is the bottom line. So this is working out really good. We've got a nice weekend coming up, looks like, before we go back into the storms next week. So just a continuation of this really, really wet pattern that we've been in as of late. And, you know, like I mentioned the other day, the possibility of drought is going away very quickly. You know, usually when we get those really bad droughts in Kentucky, the dry weather needs to start in June because it takes a couple of months for the soil conditions to really become parched and for it to really start to affect agriculture. And so you really want to see those things start in June if you're going to have a drought. And here we are going into the middle of July, and it's drought is nowhere to be found around Kentucky. Very wet conditions, actually. Actually, we're going the opposite direction where it's been so wet lately that a lot of farming activities have been impaired because you just can't get out in the field when it's muddy like this. So it's one of those situations where, you know, danged if you do, danged if you don't, I guess, you know. But going into the end of August here, looks like end of July, looks like we've got more wet weather coming, and that just leaves August as our last hot month of the year. So I think drought's probably that wasn't a very good call for a hot and dry summer because things are just not panning out that way. It's not looking very likely at this point. So anyway, keep an eye on the storms tonight, and keep your weather radios on. And looks like we've got a nice weekend coming up. So go out and enjoy the weekend before the storms roll back in next week. Okay, guys? Everybody take care. Have a good one.